Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
All right, strap in, everybody. We're going deep today into the seven planes of consciousness. We got a ton of excerpts from Helena Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine. Excited to dig into these with you. Hidden dimensions, cosmic energy, the whole shebang.
Definitely fascinating stuff. Bridging science, religion, philosophy, all in one. Blavatsky's work, it's full of symbolism and esoteric teachings, but it gives us this really unique framework for understanding consciousness and how it evolves.
Okay, so to start, planes of consciousness, that specific phrase, she doesn't actually use it directly, right?
You're right, it's not like a textbook definition you'll find in there, but the book's core ideas, especially the seven globes or worlds and seven principles, they really point to this multi-layered reality.
So it's like we're putting a puzzle together, using these different ideas to see how consciousness exists on all these different levels.
Exactly. These excerpts you sent, they talk about those seven globes or worlds, and each one we can think of it as a plane of existence, each with its own kind of vibration.
Okay, starting to see the layers now. So how do these planes actually connect to us as humans? Are we just stuck on one?
That's where things get interesting. Remember Blavatsky's famous line, humans are microcosms of the macrocosm. Like we're mini universes reflecting the whole structure of existence inside ourselves.
Hold on, so those seven planes out there in the cosmos, they match up to something within us.
Exactly. We've got seven principles inside. Physical body, vital force, astral body, lower mind, higher mind, spiritual soul, and pure spirit. Each one of those lines up with a cosmic plane. It's like we've got a map of the universe built right into us.
Whoa, okay, that is deep. So understanding ourselves, all our different parts, that helps us understand these huge cosmic planes too.
That's the idea. Going inward can actually illuminate what's going outward. Think about it. Our physical body that's most tied to the densest plane, the most material one, that's the level we experience through our senses the most, right?
And as we move up through like our astral body or higher mind, we're tapping into higher planes of existence, almost like climbing a ladder.
Exactly. We've all got the potential to experience those subtler realities. And this is where the monad comes in.
Okay, right, the monad. That's like the eternal spark of our consciousness, the real us, deep down.
You got it. Think of it as the ultimate you, the part that goes through lifetimes, journeys through all these different planes.
So it's not just that we have a monad, but our monad is us. And it's on this huge journey across these planes.
You put it perfectly. The monad isn't just sitting still. It's on this grand journey, going through the seven planes, evolving through lifetimes, across different kingdoms of nature even, constantly learning and experiencing.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying our monad could have been like a mineral, a plant, an animal in past cycles? That's wild.
Mind-blowing, right? Imagine all the experience it gathers over eons. It goes through the mineral kingdom, then plant, animal, and finally reaches the human stage. And even from there, it keeps going to higher states of being.
So it's not just about humans trying to become spiritual. It's about this eternal spark inside us, experiencing all these different levels.
That's it. And this whole evolutionary journey, it's guided by this incredible force Blavatsky calls Fohat.
Okay, Fohat, that sounds intense. Break it down for me.
So Fohat is like this dynamic cosmic energy, the force behind creation and evolution, everything. It's the link between a pure thought and that thought actually becoming real, the energy that shapes the whole universe on every level.
So it's like a cosmic architect, right? Taking the blueprint of like divine thought and turning it into physical reality.
A great analogy. Fohat takes those abstract ideas and makes them real, the force behind matter differentiating, consciousness appearing on each plane. And here's what's fascinating, this ancient concept. It kind of lines up with some modern scientific principles, too.
Really? Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think of the fundamental forces in the universe, right? Electromagnetism, gravity, strong and weak nuclear forces. Those shape and control everything. Blavatsky might argue that these are actually expressions of Fohat just on the physical plane, the energy holding everything together, driving change and evolution.
Mind-blowing. So we're talking about an ancient idea that could actually help us understand like the fabric of reality itself. This is making me rethink everything.
That's the beauty of Blavatsky's work. It challenges us to see the connections between ancient wisdom and what science is finding out now, to see how everything's connected.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's zoom out even more now. How does Blavatsky describe this whole process of cosmic evolution, all these planes unfolding, everything?
She uses some pretty powerful imagery to explain it. One of the key symbols is the world egg. This represents that primordial unity, holding the potential for all seven planes inside it. Everything emanates from that, driven by Fohat. From chaos to a structured cosmos.
So it's like this initial state of pure possibility, and then everything unfolds from there, like a seed becoming a flower. or the Big Bang.
Exactly. And the idea of seven creations is important too. Describes how manifestation happens in cycles. Each plane appears, thrives, and then eventually dissolves back into that primordial unity. That's called pralaya.
Like a cosmic breath. Creation and dissolution, over and over. So these planes aren't just static, they're part of this whole dynamic process. Starting to see the big picture here, and it's amazing. But gotta admit, this stuff can get pretty complex.
It definitely can. Blavatsky uses a lot of esoteric language and symbolism, which can be tough to grasp.
Yeah, I'm with you there. How are we supposed to approach these concepts then without getting totally lost?
I think it helps to think of them as metaphors, frameworks to help us understand reality, not like literal interpretations you have to stick to. Blavatsky even said herself, a lot is left unsaid, and intuition is key to figuring out the deeper meanings.
So don't sweat the small stuff, focus on the big ideas, let intuition be your guide.
Exactly. Use these ideas as tools to explore, to understand those unseen dimensions and where we fit in.
Okay, I like that approach. Let's keep exploring then. One more concept to dig into before we move on. We've been talking about this cyclical nature, creation and dissolution. Seems like cycles are really central to how Blavatsky thinks, right?
You're absolutely right. The concept of cycles, it's fundamental to her whole work, and it's all tied in with another key idea, karma.
Karma, the whole what goes around comes around thing.
Exactly, that universal principle of balance and, taking responsibility. Every action has a consequence, and those consequences, they rip out across life drives, across those cosmic cycles we talked about. But it's not about punishment. It's about learning, about growing.
So our journey through the seven planes, that's actually shaped by what we do, by the choices we make each lifetime.
It's all connected. That understanding, it gives us a sense of, agency. We're responsible for our own evolution. It's a powerful reminder that we're not just passengers, but we're active in this whole cosmic journey, shaping our own destinies, both as individuals and together.
That's both really empowering and a bit daunting. A lot to take in. Feeling my brain doing some cosmic yoga over here.
I hear you. This is definitely mind-expanding stuff. We've covered a lot of ground, even just in this first part of our deep dive.
Welcome back, deep divers. Back for more of those seven planes of consciousness from Helena Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine, of course. Part 1, we really started to unpack some of those big ideas. 7 globes, the 7 principles inside us, the monad's wild journey, and that intense cosmic energy, Fohat.
And we even touched on how Blavatsky, even though her work is ancient wisdom, she kind of foreshadowed some modern science. Like she was tuned into something that science is just now catching up to.
Exactly. That's what gets me so excited about this whole topic. It's not just like old mysticism. It's like a code waiting to be cracked. And the more we learn about science, the more those ancient ideas seem to line up.
Yeah, the Secret Doctrine is full of those aha moments. For example, remember the world egg imagery and that fire mist period? Her descriptions of the early universe, they sound a lot like the Big Bang Theory, which is, the main scientific model for how it all started.
You're right. The Big Bang, it describes this super hot, dense state at the very beginning, right? And then rapid expansion cooling down. That's pretty well with that fire mist idea, where the universe comes from this primordial unity and then gradually differentiates.
It's kind of uncanny, right? Even the world egg, you could almost see it as like a metaphor for the singularity, that point of infinite density that the universe supposedly came from. It's like Blavatsky had access to knowledge that science is just now figuring out.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are hidden in those old teachings? Okay, I'm getting chills.
It definitely says something about how deep these traditions are, and it challenges us to look beyond just the literal meanings, to try and find the deeper truths hidden in the symbols.
So it's not about taking everything literally, but seeing the underlying principles and how those resonate with how we're understanding the universe now. Like, we don't have to believe in a literal world egg to appreciate the idea of everything coming from this primordial unity, right?
Exactly, and that applies to her discussion of the 7 planes, too. They aren't like physical places, they're states of consciousness, each with its own vibration like notes on a cosmic scale.
Right, it's like each plane is a different level of reality, a different density of existence. And just like light has different wavelengths, consciousness can exist in all these different states too. We see the physical world with our senses, but those subtler realms, how do we get to those?
Well, our physical senses are tuned to the densest plane, the most material one. But through spiritual practices, inner development, we can awaken to those subtler realms. It's like tuning a radio to pick up different frequencies.
Okay, I like that. So it's not that these other planes are out there somewhere. It's more about our ability to perceive them, expanding our consciousness.
Exactly. And that's where the journey of the monad is so important. It's all about evolving through those planes, gathering experience, and eventually going beyond the limits of, material existence. And remember, that journey is governed by the law of karma, cause and effect.
right? Karma, that cosmic boomerang, what we put out comes back to us. So if we're making choices aligned with like higher principles, love, compassion, wisdom, we're basically creating the conditions for our monad to move up to those higher planes.
Yes, and the opposite is true too. If we're constantly being negative, selfish, doing harmful things, it creates a resistance, weighs our monad down, keeps it stuck in the lower realms. But it's not about some outside judgment or punishment.
It's about the natural consequences of what we do. We're creating our own heaven or hell, in a way.
That's a great way to put it, and that's what makes Blavatsky's teachings so empowering. It's not some fatalistic system, it's a call to action. It's about realizing we're not just watching, we're actively participating in this cosmic drama. We have the power to shape our own destinies. And through our choices, our thoughts, words, actions, we contribute to the evolution of consciousness, both individually and as a whole.
I love that. It's not about just sitting around waiting for enlightenment. It's about actively making choices that match our highest potential. Not escaping reality, but transforming it.
Exactly. Bringing those higher principles of love, compassion, wisdom down to earth, weaving them into our everyday lives. But I know what you're thinking. All this sounds very abstract. How do we actually apply these teachings to our daily lives?
I was just going to ask that. It's one thing to talk about cosmic planes and the monad, but what about paying bills, dealing with traffic, all that normal stuff? Give us some practical tips.
That's a great question, and one that we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, let's just pause here. Let all this sink in. Think about what resonates with you, what sparks your curiosity, what questions come up. We'll be back soon to go even deeper into those mysteries of cosmic evolution and the journey of the monad.
Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. It's been quite a journey so far exploring these 7 planes of consciousness, all based on Helena Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine, cosmic symbolism, ancient wisdom, definitely some mind-bending stuff.
Yeah, and we've even found some surprising connections between these ancient teachings and, modern science. Blavatsky's ideas about the universe, consciousness, they seem to resonate with some of the latest discoveries. It's pretty amazing.
It is. It's like those ancient traditions. We're tapping into something so profound, and we're just now starting to understand it through science. Makes you realize there's still so much out there we don't know. But in the last part, you brought up a really important point. How do we actually apply these teachings to our everyday lives? It's easy to get lost in the cosmic scale of it all and forget about the here and now.
Right, you hit the nail on the head. It's super important to bridge that gap between the abstract and the practical. So let's bring it down to earth a bit. One of the key takeaways from the Secret Doctrine is that this journey through the 7 planes, it's not just about individual progress, it's about the evolution of consciousness itself.
So it's not just about me trying to ascend to some higher plane, but all of humanity, all life even, contributing to this kind of collective awakening.
Exactly. And this evolution, it's not a straight line, it's cyclical. Remember those concepts, manvantaras and pralayas, those cosmic breaths, in and out?
Right, those massive cycles of creation and dissolution. And within those even smaller cycles, all intertwined, creating this, this tapestry of existence, constantly evolving, like a cosmic dance, everything in motion, evolving, devolving, but always moving towards like greater complexity, more consciousness.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Blavatsky actually suggests that humanity plays a crucial role in all of this, in this whole cosmic evolution thing.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What do you mean by that? How do we fit into this grand scheme?
Well, think about where we are on this ladder of existence. We're kind of in between, right? The material and spiritual realms. We have a physical body, but we also have this higher mind, a spiritual soul.
We're like a bridge between the two.
Exactly, and that gives us this incredible potential to act as a conduit between those higher and lower planes. We're not just passively evolving, we're actually influencing how consciousness evolves itself.
Hold on, so you're saying our choices, our actions, even our thoughts, they can ripple out and affect the whole cosmos. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is a huge responsibility, but it's also incredibly empowering. Blavatsky actually believed that humanity was at a crucial turning point, even back then in the late 19th century when she was writing.
She saw science and technology advancing, but also this growing materialism, people losing touch with spiritual truths.
Yes, and she really believed humanity needed to rediscover its spiritual heritage, reconnect with that ancient wisdom to navigate the challenges ahead. Her work was like a call to action, a wake-up call for humanity to embrace its role as co-creators of the future.
And that message feels even more relevant now than ever, don't you think? Global crises, climate change, all the social and political unrest. It really feels like we're at a crossroad, and the choices we make right now, they're going to determine how we evolve as a species.
I totally agree. And that brings us back to why understanding these seven planes of consciousness is so important. When we recognize these different levels of reality, we can make better choices. Choices aligned with our highest potential. It's about expanding our awareness beyond just the material world and tapping into the wisdom and guidance that's available on those higher planes.
So it's not about escaping reality, but transforming it, bringing those higher principles, love, compassion, wisdom down to earth, weaving them into our everyday lives. But how do we actually do that? What are some concrete steps we can take?
It all starts with inner work, cultivating self-awareness, practicing mindfulness, connecting with that spiritual core within us.
So meditation, contemplation, being out in nature, things like that.
Exactly. Those practices help us quiet the mind, tune into our inner wisdom, and align ourselves with those higher frequencies, those higher planes of consciousness.
And by raising our own vibration, in a way, we create this ripple effect, inspiring others and contributing to the, upliftment of all of humanity. And then that collective shift in consciousness that can transform the world, shape our evolution.
That's exactly it. That's the power of understanding this. We're not just separate individuals, but we're all interconnected, part of this huge, intricate web of life.
This has been a truly mind-expanding exploration. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on, the nature of reality itself and where I fit in.
That's what the deep dive is all about, taking these deep dives into complex subjects and coming out with fresh insights, a renewed sense of wonder.
And speaking of coming out, I think it's time for us to wrap up this episode.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. The seven planes of consciousness, cyclical nature of existence, the role of karma, how everything's connected, and that amazing potential that's inside all of us.
So as you go about your day today, listeners, remember that wisdom from the Secret Doctrine. Embrace that journey of the monad. Make choices that are true to your highest self, and know that you have the power to make a difference in this evolution of consciousness in ways you might not even realize.
Until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep expanding that awareness. The universe is full of mysteries waiting to be discovered.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.